Welcome to Mr. Biz Radio, biz talk for biz owners. If you're ready to stop faking the funk and take your business onward and upward, this show is for you. And now, here's Mr. Biz, Ken Wentworth.
Welcome to another episode of Mr. Biz Radio with me, Mr. Biz, Ken Wentworth. And this week we're going to talk about something that's very important for business owners, entrepreneurs, probably even more so for solopreneurs especially. And that is our guest this week. We're going to talk about, in a nutshell, we're going to talk about how to become rich in your niche. But we're going to talk about how to do that, different things you can take, different approaches. Our guest this week is Leah Kraft Kristaine. For over 20 years, she has coached entrepreneurs, authors, professionals in product presentation and promotional skills. She has built 4 successful businesses, been a practicing attorney, has written 19 books. I feel very inadequate. I've only written 3. Has spoken around the world in nearly 500 cities on 4 continents, and is a former broadcaster on CNN and PBS television. She also teaches wealth building by building your own home. Her e-course and coaching, Get Famous and Rich in Your Niche, helps business owners to quantum leap visibility and sales. Leah, welcome to Mr. Biz Radio.
And it is so great to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. Been looking forward to having you on. And this is something that's, it's going to sound a little cheesy and cliche, but it's kind of near and dear to my heart. I got sort of into this probably back in, I want to say 2018 or so.
Okay.
Is sort of this idea of visibility and things like that.
Yeah.
As I had left my corporate career and launched my own business and was really trying to figure some of these things out. And a person that I was following on social media, you know, a big guru guy or whatever, which I still really enjoy him. I've talked with him several times actually now. I'm, you know, I consider him a friend now, but really was talking about the value of, you know, putting yourself out there and getting that visibility and everything. So that's why I wanted to have you on to kind of talk through this, especially with your extensive background. But before we get into all that, Leah, tell us a little bit about your, you know, your entrepreneurial journey.
Oh, it feels like I've always been one. When I was 9 years old, I started being an entrepreneur. So I've always been on that path, but I did go to law school and become an attorney. I also worked for IBM before that. And after I was moving along through working for a couple of law firms, I realized this is absolutely not what I want to do with my life. And so when I transitioned into writing more books, I was very fortunate in that actually it was my 5th book that landed me on Oprah. And that was like a dream come true, of course.
Sure.
And I was astounded about how many people wanted to have me come and speak. And I said, "Hey, I don't speak. I write books. That's what I do." And then I started getting calls from more people saying, "Hey, we've got a group of 200 people that want you to come and speak." And I said, "I don't understand. Do they know about my book?" And they said, "Yes." I said, "Well, if they have my book, why do they need me to be there?" That conversation changed my whole life. I finally got it. They said, "Because you might say something more than what's in the book." And I said, okay. So I flew there and did 5 different seminars, went to a university and spoke. I was inspired by that trip that I took, and speaking in 5 different places was extraordinary. I then ended up being hired by a company to go around the world and do my own brand of speaking, and ended up, I've worked for all different companies, going in and speaking at corporations and associations. And it has been an experience of sharing my knowledge through speaking. And the more knowledge I got, the better I became at understanding how this works. And of course, it was no small thing to land my own show segment on CNN. And that was all by accident. And I hate to say it that way because there are so many people trying so hard to make things happen. But that was a situation where I had a show idea I thought CNN should do. I heard a man's name and someone said, "He's a really nice guy." So I kept calling CNN until I reached his gatekeeper, and she really was a gatekeeper and wouldn't let me talk with him. I ended up calling him after hours one day. I thought, it's 5:30, it's my last chance. I said I was going to call on Tuesday. And I called, a man picked up the phone. I said, "Listen, I would like to speak with Then I said his name, and he said, well, if you could speak with him, what would you say? And I said, I think you should be doing a show reviewing books, bestsellers. I think it should be there because people want to talk about books without actually having read them. So it's cocktail talk. And he said, that's a great idea. And I said, good, get somebody to do it. And he said, where are you located? And I said, Atlanta. He said, why don't you come in and tell me about it? I said, why? I don't. I was at that time so naive. I didn't take the bait in the slightest. Well, I ended up showing up there the next day. I walked in, I met him. We talked about the show. I explained more of what I thought it should contain. And he said, well, who would write it? I said, I know you have interns. Get them to write it. He said, aren't you a writer? And I said, yes. And he said, okay, well, then why don't you write it? I said, sure, I could write it. That's fine. I turned to go and he said, who is going to be the host? I said, I don't know. And I listed about 3 different on-air broadcasters. And he said, I don't think any of those would be good at it. How about you? And I'm thinking, he is blowing smoke big time. And so I said, sure, when should I show up? And he said, how about, and he walked to the calendar and he said, how about November 7th? That was a week from that day.
Oh, wow.
And I still thought he was blowing smoke. So then he said, yeah, just bring in the script. We'll put it on the teleprompter and we'll get started. I said, yeah, you've got to talk to a board. You got to talk to somebody. He said, who do I need to talk to? I'm president of Network News. You're going on air. I said, I had no idea. Now, that is called the height of naivety, but it turned into an amazing, amazing thing. I ended up co-producing it. I wrote it. I hosted it. And the first time I hosted it, it was live. We did not tape it.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I'm sure that wasn't nerve-wracking at all.
Oh, no. And I thought this is a really good thing. They can only see me from the waist up because my knees were bouncing. My foot would not stop tapping. So yeah, even thinking about it makes me nervous now. But it was a wonderful, fabulous experience to learn about the broadcasting industry. And then I proposed an idea to PBS and they wanted it to be a fundraiser for them. I've done a lot of stepping out there. And as I look back on it, I say nothing would have happened had I not overcome my own shyness, my own introversion. Nothing would have happened. I am not the kind of person that stands on a table and says, this is what I've done. But what I just did is step forward with passion. And that's why I'm doing everything I'm doing and why I've done every business I've done. So it feels really good.
Well, it's interesting. So you had this idea for the show, but it sounds like I think a lot of people have an idea for a show or a movie or something like that with the idea that, hey, I'm going to be the star. And it sounds like you just had this idea you weren't planning on being part of it. You just wanted to present this idea. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's all I wanted to do. And I have no idea why I was so adamant about it, except that I had written my 5th book and I just really wanted people to have an opportunity to air what they do. So I just needed to get it out there. But I've done a lot of other businesses and I can tell you about that later.
Interesting. So, it's one of these things, Leah, it's a Steve Jobs quote. It's one of my favorite quotes. And I've instilled it in my kids and everything. And he had this quote, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. Now, I will tell you, so you've definitely lived that, even just with that one anecdote you shared. My kids definitely have used that against me, though. We're going to hit a break here. We're going to come back. We'll continue talking with Leah about how to become rich in your niche.
If you would like to reach hundreds of thousands of business owners every week, Mr. Biz Radio can help. Our show airs globally 7 days a week for more than 25 hours across several internet radio stations, plus 20 plus podcast platforms. Also, video exposure on the new exclusive Mr. Biz Network streaming channel, which gets blasted to 100 plus streaming platforms and the Mr. Biz YouTube channel and our 350,000 social media followers multiple times every week. Join Mr. Biz Nation as an advertiser by emailing us at info@MrBizSolutions.com.
Attention, Mr. Biz Nation. We have an exclusive offer just for you. Get lifetime access to scarcity countdown timers and logic links for only $69. Yes, you heard it right. Only $69. These tools will add urgency to your email campaigns and website pages, helping you increase conversions, sales, and capture more leads. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. Visit getpulsetools.com now and take your business to new heights.
Got a question for Mr. Biz you want answered on air? Email it to info@MrBizSolutions.com. Now, once again, here's Mr. Biz.
All right, welcome back to the show. Again, we're talking this week with Leah Kraft Kristaine, and amazing story of how you got on. You had an idea for the show. Again, I love that we're talking about how naive you were. And again, my experience that I've heard of is, typically people are pitching shows because they want to be the star. Like, hey, I got this, and look at me, and look at me. And, the famous story about Sylvester Stallone when he wrote Rocky. I mean, the whole idea was they wanted to buy it from him. And he said, no, I want to be the star. And they were like, nope, we don't want it, and you were kind of the complete opposite. You're like, hey, this would be a great show. Here's the idea, take and run with it. And they're like, hey, how about you just do all this? You'd be great.
Yeah, and
Interesting.
One of the businesses that I started was called Life Craft Centers, and I taught people all around North America to become life coaches and speakers. And I wanted them to do their own thing. And so many people came back to me and said, I can't do the speaking part. Can you record it? And then I recorded all the intros to all the courses that we offered. And I said, listen, as soon as you get your wheels under you, ditch the video and do it your way. That's what I want you to do. And I have always, I think, been a teacher, a natural born wanting to help people get a leg up and do their own thing and find out their own power. And that is why now I call myself the life power builder. And that's what I help people find, is their own power. Even if you're a shy entrepreneur, even if you're a shy solo professional, and that could be a dentist or an attorney or anyone who is out there on their own, a CPA. All of those people need to get their promo going. They need to let people know who they are. And so what I do, in addition to letting them know the steps, here's what you must do, is how to do those steps. And part of those steps require that you learn how to give a short talk, or you learn how to put a keynote together. There's all kinds of ways that entrepreneurs can get a stage, whether it's their own stage or someone else's stage, but they must let people know not only what they do, but who they are. Because, in the past, people would buy their vegetables and fruits from the guy who had the vegetable and fruit stand that they liked the most. So they need to know you. They also need to know what made you want to do what you do. And I encourage everybody to trace that back. And, maybe it's, hey, I became an attorney because my Aunt Edith was the first woman attorney in her county. People want to understand a little bit about you. And I just believe that it's time. We're being pushed to share too much, I think. I never have taken a picture of my food and shared it online. I'm sorry, I just don't do that. But there's other reasons to let people know who you are, what you do, why you do it. And one of my biggest backstories is I was crippled until I was 7. I cannot tell you how good it feels to have mobility. And the biggest love of my life is to be able to get around the world, to go travel, to go speak. I love that. And I am so incredibly grateful that I overcame the impediment I was born with. But that is one of the reasons I think that I want to help people, because I know what it feels like to be walking around feeling like you have a sack around your feet and you can't go very fast or far. I like people to find their own power. That's my why.
So it's interesting, Leah. So you'd mentioned, I think last segment talked about in 2018, I started doing videos. Actually, Facebook Live was like the big thing that had just come out, and Facebook was really promoting it. And I did 100 Facebook Lives, 20 a month for 5 months. So I did 100 of them. And it was just sort of what you were talking about in a nutshell. I'm just going to start. I'm just going to, click record and let's do it. And I think for a lot of people, that is probably absolutely terrifying. You had mentioned that you were an introvert. So what if you are a shy, introverted person, you're a dentist, you're a CPA, and you're like, man, I'm just not, that's not my jam. I can't do that. How did you overcome that? Or what are some things that people can do to sort of overcome that, to say, you can do this?
Well, what I recommend to other people is to find someone who can walk you through the what and the why to help you overcome whatever it is that's holding you back. Maybe you were bullied in school. Maybe somebody made fun of your clothes. Maybe there's so many reasons. Maybe you didn't get the part in the school play, and that has stuck with you in a way that's bigger than you even know. And so that may be what is the impediment there. For me, part of it was high school. It took me a while to break out of that because I never was good at talking with people. But everyone can overcome whatever it is that's holding you back. But I want to say that the first time I was out there speaking, and it was in Canada, in Montreal, the idea that came to me that was the most profound push I ever had was, as I was getting on stage that night to this hundreds of people, I said, they need this. I am talking about 30 days to happiness, setting yourself up to win in life, emotional intelligence, spiritual truth. Get out of your own way. You are the conduit. Let it rush through. And so I will say that to everybody. What is it you have to help others? How do you serve? What do you have to share? Well, it's up to you. It's your obligation, my friend. It really, really is, to get out of your own way and let it come through you, because you're going to reach somebody who needs you desperately. So just know that. Don't think of it being you. You are the conduit. And if you don't like that, that's another thought. But I love being the conduit. I want to reach somebody who needs this information today. I want somebody to say yes. And so I started my whole business on the emotional factor. You can't share what you know if you can't get out of bed in the morning. So the emotions, how to get out of depression, how to boost yourself up, how to get more joyful. That leads into the next step, which is quantum intelligence, which we disguise it by calling it mindset. If you believe you're going to do well, you will do much better than if you don't. So getting your belief system in gear, because there's something called quantum, and that means the tiniest, not the biggest, the tiniest particles, you're going to affect what you do. So many things. When I wanted to get on Oprah, I said, I'm going to see it, feel it, and taste it before it happens. I love Oprah. I want to be there. It would be so great. Then I got the call at 6:30 in the morning. And even then I was saying, dear God, what do I do now?
Yeah. Why did I ask for this?
But then moving into helping people start their businesses, but not just get started, make it show, make it big, make it grow, let people find you. That's the next step. Get famous and rich in your niche. It works when you help yourself make a name for yourself. And that is a freebie I have for everybody here. Make a name for yourself. 5 steps to make a name for yourself. And that is what you need to do.
Very interesting. So again, Grant Cardone, another guy I follow online, he talks about, and it sounds a little nefarious at first, but he said the best known product is not necessarily, he said the best product doesn't always win. It's the best known product. And he said, I don't mean you put out crappy products and you rip people off. He said, right. Look at McDonald's. Does McDonald's have the best hamburgers? Absolutely not. Are they healthy for you? Absolutely not. But they do very well because they're the best known. They're everywhere. Right. We're going to hit a break here, guys. We're going to come back and we're going to find out more about how to become rich in your niche.
How would you like to have direct access to Mr. Biz to help you run your business more profitably and more efficiently? At MrBizSolutions.com, you get live access to not only Mr. Biz, but also several of his hand-picked and trusted business experts, each with 20 plus years of experience to help you optimally manage and grow your business. That's just the start of where Mr. Biz Solutions begins. Learn more at MrBizSolutions.com. That's MrBizSolutions.com.
Attention, Mr. Biz Nation. We have an exclusive offer just for you. Get lifetime access to scarcity countdown timers and logic links for only $69. Yes, you heard it right, only $69. These tools will add urgency to your email campaigns and website pages, helping you increase conversions, sales, and capture more leads. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. Visit getpulsetools.com now and take your business to new heights.
Check out all 3 of Mr. Biz's best-selling books at MrBizBooks.com. Now, once again, here's Mr. Biz.
All right, welcome back to the show. Again, talking this week with Leah Kraft Kristaine. You can find out more. I should have mentioned this before. We'll put it in the show notes as well. But on her website, lifecraft.com, and that's Kraft with a K. She has a YouTube channel as well as you can follow her on LinkedIn. Definitely go check it out. And again, we'll put that in the show notes as well. Make it easy for you. But before we dive into some of these tips you have for us, Leah, I know you had mentioned, I know before we came on air, you've got this new, not necessarily new, but a kind of a project that you're working on helping people build wealth through building their own house. Tell us a little bit about that, if you would.
Oh, I'm so excited about this. Thank you for asking. This is something I've dreamed about doing for over a decade. A long time ago, I started building my own house on my lake property because I wanted to move there and I wanted to sell my house. But at that time, my house had a mortgage rate. I had inherited the mortgage. The mortgage rate went up to 18.75%.
Oh, wow.
And the principal rose up higher than the value of the house. And this was a tragedy. I had to get out of it and I was trying to sell it, but I knew that the minute I sold it, I would have to pay the mortgage company money. So I said, I've got to do something. I've got my tent at the lake. I've got my dog. I've got my laptop, but I run out of electricity and I need to do this a different way. I'm writing books. I would go into town and juice up at Hardee's, then come back. I said, I want to build a house. I said, I am not going to risk my real money. I have got to just see what I can do with $4,000. So I designed a house I had been designing for years with the help of a book, 2 books from a wonderful architect named Alex Wade. And I designed it. And then I found 2 carpenters and they were gifts from God. We started digging holes for the posts on Monday. On Friday night at 10:30, I moved out of my tent with my dog into my house that had a roof on it and 30-year tar paper on top of that roof. I had plastic over the windows and I had a front door. That is called being dried in. I had nothing else, but I was in that house and I was a little bit more safe than being in a tent, but I never thought about safety for some reason. So I did that a long time ago. And today, because of what we're seeing in the real estate market, the average price of a home in the US is $511,000. The average price of a house in California is $934,000. Now, most people who haven't ever owned a home before are stepping back and saying, how do I grow? How do I get a start? What do I do? I am also finding out as I'm teaching this that most Americans do not know what our tax law says. Our tax law says you buy a house, live in it for 2 years consecutively, then sell it, and every bit of profit is tax-free up to a profit of $250,000 per person. Now, I want people to really understand that. I am teaching how to build your own affordable house, a 2 or 3 bedroom house with 2 bathrooms for $50,000 with fewer than 30 days of your own time. Now, that means you already have the land, you already have the infrastructure, the water and the septic in place, but this is how you build a house. Now, if you were able to just have $80,000 that's in that house, but you've got it on credit, it's not that you have to come up with $80,000, but let's say that you owe $80,000 on this, maybe $20,000 of which is your own money. You turn around 2 years later and you sell it for $200,000, $225,000, you're going to make quite a bundle. And then you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. If you have the mindset You can do this 3 or 4 times. You can do it any number of times, but it's an effort. It takes time, but you will be set for life. You will have amassed $1 million that's making money. So I highly recommend learning how to build your own home. And even if you don't want to do it, you can understand what should be happening when you do build your first home or when you buy your first home. I am teaching this through an e-course called Home for the Heart. And that is an e-course that anybody can watch or listen to and be in preparation for. Maybe it's a 3-year process for you to find the land, to do the project. That's great. But I also have hands-on building. And 2 days from now, we are starting the next project. We are taking trees down. I hate to take any tree down, but that's what we need to do. I want people to understand, to amass a profit of 150,000, 100,000 with no taxes is a big deal. If you are earning less than $75,000, it is a big bulk of money and another big bulk of money. I want people to understand how they can get a leg up. And I even want to treat people who are retirees who are looking to downsize and they can't downsize because everything's too expensive. Get the course and have your grandchild who's living with your daughter, your grandchild, your 35-year-old grandchild living with your daughter, teach that grandchild how to build a house, have that grandchild build it for you, and get them out of your daughter's house. So it's all good for everybody. But as I said, Ken, I am a life power builder. I'm a life builder, and it's a natural progression. How much empowerment can you muster? When you get yourself under power emotionally, you get yourself under power knowing what your thoughts and feelings can do to create your life. The next natural step is to share whatever it is you know how to do, whether that's spinning yarn or anything. It can be made into a business. But the next natural step is to say, I'm doing all of this so I can raise money so I can buy my house or be in something other than spending rent money and it's just gone. So I'm just saying what I teach seems disconnected to some people. To me, it is the most natural progression in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are unaware of a lot of the things you just talked about and the benefits of doing what you're talking about and building your own house and going through that process. And sure, there's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be some trials and tribulations along the way. But to your point, the example you gave, if someone's making, let's say, $75,000, and over the course of 2 years, they can make tax-free profit of 100. That's a year and a third of wages for them. That's tax, and it's tax-free as well. So it's huge. It's huge.
And how much do you think that person has been able to set aside in savings? So it's so important. Lifecraft.com has all of this information, and I really welcome you to go there. But Kraft with a K, like Kraft cheese, which has a C. That's a terrible thing to say. Okay.
So Leah, we're running out of time here, but I have to ask. So you've written 19 books, and you started with that, right? And then you started all the speaking. You've been on television. You've done speaking all over the world. And you had mentioned you at least used to be an introvert. Which do you prefer? Do you prefer writing, or you do prefer being on stage in some form or fashion?
I do prefer being on stage. It's faster. It's easier. When you write, you can never, ever go to lunch. So it's much easier to just speak it. It really is. But sharing the information, however it can be shared, is my greatest jam. I love it. That's me.
Yeah. I get so much energy. I didn't realize, like, when COVID hit, and I do some speaking as well, and certainly not as extensive as you, but I was doing some Zoom things and all that.
Yeah.
And then when I finally got on the first stage post-COVID that I hadn't been on stage in, I don't know, 18 months or so, maybe 2 years. And I walked out there, and just the energy was I'm like, oh my gosh, I have missed this so much, And I was super introverted, especially in high school and even somewhat in college. Super introverted. So I absolutely get that. And I prefer being on stage much more than writing. As anyone who listens or watches the show, they know I'm not a fan of writing, although I've written some books. That's not my jam. So Leah, we're out of time here, but I really appreciate you coming on. Fascinating information.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you so much. I've loved it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a fantastic rest of your week. And don't forget, as always, cash flow is king.
To become part of Mr. Biz Nation, follow him on all social media platforms or never miss a show by going to MrBizRadio.com. If you prefer free video content, visit the Mr. Biz YouTube channel or check out his streaming channel, which is available on 100 plus streaming platforms at MrBizNetwork.com.